Grade 6, how are you, Miss? We will start this semester, inshallah, with Module 6 from the book, which is actually talking about representing the ratios that we actually, if you remember, we took it in Module 5 in the last semester. Now, we were talking about ratios and compare ratios part to part and whole to whole. Now, we will talking in this module about representing these ratios. And in this lesson, we will use ratios reasoning with circle graphs. And we will use the circle graphs to represent a ratio. Okay, now what's a circle graph? As you can see here, it's actually a graph that uses sections of a circle to compare parts to parts, okay, or parts to whole. How can I know that there are sections? Actually, from the colors. We can notice here that we have different colors and we have different sections. How many sections can you see here? Actually, we can see 3 sections. Now, to understand the question more, I want you to read with me the, question 1, which is actually talking about, actually, Kara is conducting a survey of 120 students. She asked how they get to school, and the results, as you can see here, are shown in the circle graph. Now, they ask us in the first question in A, what do the sizes of the section tell you about how the number of students who walk to school, okay, compares to the number who take the bus. Now, as you can see here, I have 3 sections actually, or 3 different colors. These 3 different colors are actually representing the number of the students that using different transportation, for example. Now I can see that the students, number of students that are actually using the bus is taking the most area from the largest section, as you can see here, which is the blue, is actually representing the number of students that are using the bus. Now here, the number of students that are going to school by walking, taking the smallest section, which is the orange one. So if you want to compare between walking students and using buses students, we can notice that number of the walking students, or the number of the students who are going to school by walking is less than number of students who are using the bus. So from looking, or actually from watching, or looking at the circle graph here, it can help me to answer many questions about using which transportation going to school. Now, they ask us in B, how can you find the angle measure of each section? Now, actually, I know that we haven't taken this till now, but actually to measure the angle in a circle, or to measure the angle generally, we are using a protractor. Now, what is a protractor? As you can see here, a protractor, Miss, is actually a tool, geometry tool, that I use it to measure an angle. Now, what's an angle? It's let's see, that the part here, the green part between 2 lines or 2 arrows, as you can see here. Okay. Now, they must intercept each other. Now, this part here is represent the angle between them. How can I measure it? By using this tool, which is actually the protractor. Now, I just want you to make sure that you understand that from using the protractor or not using it, we can find that find that the bus is taking the greatest angle measure. Okay. Now, if you bring it and use it in the class, I will appreciate it. I will bring actually my protractor. Okay, I will use my protractor to show you how to measure it. And if you don't have a protractor, it's obviously for you that the greatest or the largest angle is actually the angle that represents the bus, which is actually from here to here. Okay, which is actually the greatest angle. Okay, now in C, they ask us write part to whole ratio comparing the angle measures. Now, after they measured the angles, they found out. Now, when I'm talking about a quarter of a circle, I want you to know that for sure, it will be 90 degrees. So I want you to know that a quarter of an angle of a circle, a quarter of a circle, it represents a 90 degrees angle. Okay, and using the protractor, we can notice that going to school by walking is actually 30 degrees. This circle here, the small circle, it tells you about the measurement. The measurement or the unit that I use it for angles, which is actually degree. Now I can see that for using the buses, it's actually 240 degrees, okay, or degree, and 90 degree for using or to school or using bicycle or riding to school. Now in C, they ask us to tell us about the ratio or write the ratio, as we took representing ratios in the first semester in module 5. Now using both to the whole, I want you to know that the whole circle, okay, the angle of a whole circle is 360 degrees, okay? So when I compare bus to the whole circle, it will be 240 degrees to 360 degree. Okay, walk to whole, okay, it will be 30 over 360, and right to whole here, it will be 90 to 360, and we can use it as you can see here. Okay, now if we are talking about the number of the students, if we making the comparing or taking an equivalent ratios, and as we took in the last semester, we can notice that a number of students, okay, to the number of who are using the bus, to the number of the students who are using, to the whole students who are, or actually they are 120 students. This is why we put it here as a denominator, and we compare it to 360, because 360 is the angle of the whole circle. Okay, now we are finding here an equivalent ratios. Ratio of angles, an angle to angle, comparing with finding the equivalent ratio to it by using students to students, number of students that are using the bus to the whole students. This is why I use 240 to 360, and I compare it to 120. Inshallah, in the class, miss, I will help you to to compare between two ratios. Okay, because if you remember, we talked about it in the last semester. We will revise it again, how to compare between ratios and how to find equivalent ratios. If you remember, we said we can find equivalent ratios by by multiplying or dividing the denominator and numerator with the same number. I will repeat it inshallah in the class. Now, so I just want you to know from this graph, I just want you to know, miss, that using a circle graph is a method that I use it to represent ratios, to compare between quantities, or to compare ratios, to compare actually numbers or quantities or angles. We can use a circle graph. This is our lesson for today. Let's, solve the questions and in the book and then revise together and check it.